Cool. Can I just confirm everybody can see the screen?
I can see it,
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, awesome. So yeah, like we say there, welcome everybody to our induction on GRITability. I'm going to ask everyone firstly just to wait, let me do it from my side, and then I'll just unmute you if I need to bring you up, but you can unmute yourself as well. If you have a question, it's difficult to see on Teams when hands are up. So if you have a specific question, please raise your hand and ask, but do know that by the end of the session that we will be having some opportunity for you to ask questions. Okay, so a little bit of history, just for those of you who don't know. I started the current company we're working with, Change Creator, back in 2015, 2016, with Aubrey Masango from 702. So the two of us have been partners for about 6 years now. And we've steadily been building the business, but really building, breaking. It's been quite an adventure, quite a ride. You know, that thing about business usually takes about 10 years to get up and running properly. And second big business I've built, the first being a coaching business called Envision Coaching. And I really have learned how to develop grit the hard way through these past 6-7 years. I didn't know that there was an easier way to develop grit. I didn't know there was an easier way to develop the characteristics of grit until I had to discover it myself. And that is what I'm here to share with you guys today. We kind of attempt to have a theme every year that we work on. And any of you that might have listened on the show towards the end of last year, Aubrey and I discussed it, and we said, what are we going to make for the theme for this year? And we decided to focus on grit. And I'd like to share some ideas around grit with you guys today, where it came from, how we got to where we are today. But I want to make a statement right up front to everybody. And this system that I'm sort of introducing you to, I could have just given you the system and I could have just said to you guys, run with it, but I want you guys to get the most out of using it. Okay, and here's my promise to you. My promise to you is that you can change your life with just 10 minutes of effort per day, right? So I know what that sounds like. You know, I know it sounds like so many promises that are made out there, you know, the 7-minute ads, you know, create a beautiful body with just 5 minutes of work per day, or change your whole body by just eating one pill, or become financially rich by just doing this one thing, you know, the get quick rich, get quick healthy, get quick whatever it is. I'm not saying it's that, but I am sticking to what I'm saying. And that is with just 10 minutes of efforts per day within, I believe, the next 2 to 3 months maximum, because I know some people it's happened much faster, you're going to see changes that are going to start happening inside of you. And those changes are going to be changes that are going to last, I believe, a lifetime. And I'll tell you why I say that, because many of the programs and many of the things people work on are working on behavioral changes. And what we're doing here is we're not looking at changing the behavior of the person. We're looking at changing the person. And if you look at changing the behavior of a person, that's why you'll get, for example, people who are drug abusers and Alcoholics Anonymous. They can sometimes stay off of drugs, sometimes stay off of alcohol for 2, 3, 4, 5 years at a time. But as soon as something happens in their life, dramatic, what do they find they're doing? They go back to the old behavior from years ago, because the person hasn't fundamentally changed yet, right? So when I say you can change your life with just 10 minutes per day, I'm going to say that at the start, when you start this program, it's going to require 10 minutes of conscious focus per day from you. And then you're going to spend 23 hours plus unconsciously focusing on it. Now, I know this is happening because I know I've been studying ontology for long enough to know how we work as human beings. And when we ask ourselves powerful questions, this is what has made coaching as powerful as what it is. When we ask ourselves powerful questions, things start changing. Not always, obviously, on the outside. Actually, it happens the opposite on the outside. If you really start changing things, you're going to find that you actually move backwards instead of forwards first. And there's a reason for that we don't have time to get into tonight. But inside is where really things start changing. And that's usually unnoticeable. That's kind of like if you've ever found yourself going on a diet or picking up weight. You don't see it because you look in a mirror every single day, right? But if you run into somebody who hasn't seen you for 6 months, what do they say to you? They either say, wow, look how much weight you've lost, or wow, look how much weight you've picked up. And you walk away thinking, what are they talking about? I look the same as I always have. That's because these changes that take place in a very subtle way, and they take place in a very deep level, especially the things we're talking about tonight. But here's the good news that I want to share with you all as well, is that as you progress, as you start using the system more and more, what you're going to find is that you're going to be able to measure and actually be able to see for yourself in the very subtlest ways at first, how things are starting to change. And you know how you will do that is as you progress, what you will observe, what you will see and find is that your the amount of time you spend consciously thinking about these things will start to increase, and the amount of time that it's happening unconsciously will start to decrease. So in other words, as you go through your days, you're going to start thinking about these things more and more and more because you're becoming it. You're not just talking about it, you're going to start becoming it. It's the way it works. And you're going to see also the unconscious part of the process is going to be shorter and shorter. But up front, 10 minutes is all we're going to ask for you. And I'm going to show you and I'm going to share with you as we go along how those 10 minutes can be the best 10 minutes you spend a day on yourself. Now, let me first tell you, what is everything built on? Everything is built on what I call spot technology. Okay, it's a spot process. And SPOT just simply stands for the following, is that the S in SPOT stands, we use a scientific approach. We measure, myself being a scientist, since I was, I probably started studying for my Bachelor of Astrophysics more than 30 years ago, and have been in love with science ever since. I believe in measurement. I believe if you cannot measure, you cannot improve. Go to a gym, go to a place like Weight Watchers, go to anything, institution like that where people are getting results. The people who are getting the results are the people who are constantly measuring, right? So we want to understand how to measure using science. We also heavily use psychology. We are very fortunate to be associated with an institution called UniHealth, which is in Namibia. It's an institution of clinical industrial psychologists, and they are also behind the scenes supporting us in the research into this program. You guys are actually forming a part of that research with us. So as you're doing the system and as we're getting that research back, we are starting to learn how to help people develop grit at an even easier level. So this is like part one, and we're going to be moving forward with that support. It's also based very heavily on ontology. Ontology being the study of human behavior, why we behave as we do, and how to go about changing our behavior. For those of you who maybe know my first program that we worked on, the Change Creator Formula. The Change Creator Formula was all about understanding why certain people struggle with change and how to identify where we struggle with change. People, individuals, organizations, and then also understanding, fine pointing how to start creating the change you're looking for. So that's all to do on an ontological level. And finally, a very big part of this is going to be the technology. We've got the most amazing technology available today. It has its good points, it has its bad points, as I'll explain. But those are the 4 pillars we're going to be building, and we build all our systems on. It's on science, psychology, ontology, and technology. So this is what the GRITability system was built on. And the system that you guys are going to be using going forward and testing and feeding back, and we're going to be supporting you, it was built on those 4 pillars. But I have to give credit to a person who was very much a pioneer in the field of grit, and which led to the way we understand grit today. And that's a woman by the name of Angela Duckworth. Angela Duckworth, what happened, just a little bit about her story, is she was a teacher at school, and she was really fascinated in why is it that certain students who have all the advantages in life seem to struggle in school and never get the grades that's expected of them. And then you get other students that seem to have all the disadvantages, all the things against them, but they seem to be excelling. She wanted to know more, and she decided to leave the teaching career, and she went on to study to become a psychologist. And it was in the psychology that she decided for her master to be around the area of grit, understanding grit, understanding where grit comes from, understanding how to build and develop grit. All of these things were things that she was interested in. Just yeah, I'm not going to go. Can I just check with everybody? Can everybody still hear me properly? I'm not on the best network. If anybody cannot hear me properly, please let me know, and I'll change networks. But can everybody still hear me?
Can hear you.
Loud and clear.
Okay, excellent. All right.
Can hear you.
Thank you. So moving on with Angela, she started studying that grit, and then she decided to go and study at a place called West Point Academy. West Point Academy is notoriously one of the most difficult academies to get into in the US. It's a military academy, and over 11,000 people, school students, apply at that young age to get in every year. Now, to be able to just even get your application considered, you firstly need to have a 4.0 average, which is like having almost all distinctions in our schooling system. You also needed to be a top athlete. So in other words, you needed to excel in academia, and you needed to be the best of the best in terms of sports and athletics. And then the third thing you needed is you wouldn't even be considered if you didn't have a letter of recommendation from a member of Congress. So it's a huge thing just to be considered to be able to get in there. Then out of those 11,000, they eventually whittle it down to just 1,000 out of 11,000 who make it there. Then for the first 3 or 4 weeks, they have what they like a really rough boot camp for all the people who are part of it. And what they found is that even though they have the best of the best, that still numerous people would fall out in week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. People who they thought were the toughest of the tough were falling out. And they wanted to know, how do we predict this? How do we understand who is going to make it and who is going to fall out? And what she found is that she was the first person in more than 50 to 60 years in the US military that could predict up front who were the people that were going to make it and who were the people that were not going to make it. And it was all done by her being able to assess their current levels of what she calls grit. Now, when she talks about grit, she talks about grit as two things, passion and perseverance. We've taken grit a bit further and said we believe grit is a few more characteristics that we need to add to that. But using just passion and perseverance, she could already predict who were the students that were going to make it or not. Then she decided, well, let's take this further. And she went to the spelling bee. And in America, that's a huge thing, the spelling bee. And she wanted to understand who are the students that are most likely going to win the spelling bee. And once again, she could very accurately predict who were the students that would come at the top and those that wouldn't. And it was, again, down to grit. She took it further. She took it into business. She took it into athletics. She took it into sales. And in all areas, the determining factor was grit. So that really puts us in a position where we need to understand what is grit. And if those of you who might have heard last year, remember what we said. We said that the problem is, or the challenge for us as human beings is life is not going to get any easier. Life has got a hell of a lot tougher in the last 2 years than what it is right now. And it just keeps getting tougher. If we hear just here in South Africa right now about the increase in petrol, the increase in interest rates, the increase in food prices, that's besides all the other challenges we have, the wars that are going on around the world. COVID has completely brought many people to their knees these last 2 years. We don't know that even talking about the environmental damage we have done as human beings and how tough just living has become for us as human beings. And here's the truth. The truth is things are not going to get easier. They're only going to get tougher. So it's time for us to stop wishing that things were easier and time for us to start becoming tougher. And a part of that is grit. If we see the wars, we see the corruption, we see the looting that's happening, we see what we're doing to the planet, we see the diseases that we're creating, we know that we have no choice but to start learning a new form of grit. Now that's interesting, and I'm going to share with you all, why do I say a new form of grit? Because I want us to distinguish between the old form of grit and the new form of grit. The old form of grit is really an unconscious grit. development. It's what got us here in the state that we find ourselves in, right? It's an unconscious grit. It's a grit you develop through trials, through tribulations, through hardships. Now, understand me, I'm not saying that it's not needed anymore to develop that grit. What I'm saying is you can still develop grit that way if you choose. But I believe there's a newer way to develop grit, a conscious way to develop grit. And this is what we call GRITability. Whereas the unconscious grit is what got us as human beings right now to where we are. I believe conscious GRITability is going to save us. And in order to understand that statement, right, we need to understand the difference between grit and GRITability, right? So building grit unconsciously versus building grit consciously. How do we go about doing it, and what's the difference? Firstly, just three areas, main areas that we'll discuss tonight, is that there's a difference between what we call weak grit and a difference between strong grit. Weak grit comes from a place of powerlessness. What is the difference between power and force? Well, just take a look at what's happening in Europe at the moment. That's an excellent example of people who don't have power. You have to use force. If you don't have the power to change people, to change circumstances, you have to use force. And using force is a very weak type of grit, right? We need to develop a strong grit. Strong grit is using power. Strong grit is using a power that is different from willpower. You see, when you're talking about weak grit, we're talking about willpower. And we're talking about developing grit with willpower, and you get up every day and you force yourself and you do what Mel Robbins has said. You get up and you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you jump up and you get going. And you have to keep pushing yourself because you've got weak grit. Strong grit is the kind of grit that we can develop that we don't have to keep pushing ourselves. We actually have to stop ourselves. People with strong grit are always being told by others, calm down, relax. Why are you going? You never seem to stop. It's because they've got strong grit. So the difference between grit and GRITability, the first one is learning the difference between developing weak grit and strong grit. The second difference between grit and GRITability is the difference between bad grit and good grit. Bad grit is what got us into the situations mostly that we find not only in our own lives, but that we find worldwide. You see, bad grit is when you are using grit, your intentions might be really good, but unconsciously by doing what you're doing, it's causing harm to yourself, or it's causing harm to other people, or it's causing harm to the environment. This is what we refer to as bad grit. Okay. I see Deborah, you must just jump in if you guys have a question. I just happened to see your hand is up. Deb, do you have a question?
No, just it was my dog jumped on me and I hit something.
Okay, good. So we'll continue. Please feel free to ask questions if you want, guys. But okay, so the good grit versus bad grit. Bad grit is what got us to where we are today. Bad grit is unconsciously doing harm. Like, let's take an example. We all agree that technology is amazing. We all agree that the world has advanced immensely in the last 50 years. We needed grit 1.0, let's call it grit 1.0, in a time when we had back 70, 80 years ago, we needed that kind of grit because we were faced 2 world wars. We faced a Great Depression. We faced a world that was changing rapidly. People needed to learn grit, and they needed to learn grit 1.0, which was all about quantity grit. How much grit can we put in? How fast can we, how hard can we work? And that had advantages. We enjoy the advantages of that today as human beings. We see the technology, we see how easy life has become. I think I heard somebody say that today, the average person just living in a home, having their 3 square meals and a roof over their head today, the quality of life today is probably better than what it was a few hundred years ago for royalty, for kings and queens. So we live a very royal life, but that's come at a price. And the price has been the environment. If we take a look at the environment and we take a look at global warming and we take a look at this, the way the weather patterns are changing, the storms that are happening, and you know, just recently I was reading an article where scientists were saying we've already passed the point of no return. We can only sort of do damage control almost like now. That's how far we've got already to the damage we're doing to this planet. That is an example of bad grit. You know, you are gritty, but ultimately you're doing damage in that way. Good grit is developing grit and focusing on a goal, focusing on your passion, on something that is good for you, it's good for other people, it helps other people, and it helps the environment. And just with that explanation, I'm sure you can all agree that we need to start developing GRITability goals instead of the old grit goals. We need to start developing goals as companies, as organizations, as individuals that is helping the environment, helping our communities, and helping us all move forward, or else none of us are going to make it. Right? Not just some of us are going to make it, none of us are going to make it, because we're killing the planet, right? As an example. So I hope you all get the difference between what I'm talking about, developing good grit and bad grit. The reason we're having this orientation system is so that you can also learn what is good grit and how to go about setting the right grit goals for yourself. And then finally, we also have the difference between what's called dumb grit versus smart grit. So dumb grit is doing something over and over again with a hope that if you just attempt it enough, if you just keep going, that eventually you'll have the breakthrough. When it's obvious to everybody that that's dumb grit because you're not getting anywhere. An example of that was I heard of a guy who was a financial advisor, and he for more than 10 years he was working in the industry. He was the hardest worker. He had the most grit. He made the most phone calls. He really got involved with his work more than anybody, but he made the least amount of sales. And when they went into seeing why that was, what they found out is that when he started back in the day, he had a sales script that maybe was still applicable back then, but people had changed through the years. People no longer wanted to be sold to. People wanted to be talked to. People wanted to be shown what is the value. In many instances, people you'll see today with technology, people, if you're selling, people that you're selling to know more about the product than even you do. So people were knowledgeable and they were changing, but his script wasn't changing. He kept going in every day with the same script that wasn't working, that was actually turning people off. And he never allowed himself to change that script. So he was working hard. He applied grit. But what was obvious to everyone else wasn't obvious to him, and that he was applying dumb grit. It wasn't a grit that was getting him anywhere. It was a grit that was actually keeping him stuck. Smart grit is having the ability to understand that the goal never has to change, but changing the plan. So to understand that you need to look at different ways of doing things if you're going to move forward. I mean, this should have been understood a long time ago. Think of who was known as the wisest man in the 20th century. It was Albert Einstein. And what did he say? He said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. He also went on to say that we cannot solve the problems of today on the same level of thinking with which we created them. Right? So we are going to have to learn not only how to change the way we're doing things, but we're also going to have to learn how to increase, how to take our level of thinking, not only as individuals, but as organizations, as countries, and as a world. We need to raise our level of thinking if we are going to solve the problems which we face today. So that's very much the what of GRITability. Or let me put it, the why of GRITability. Why is it necessary for us to learn this? Why is it necessary for us to understand GRITability? Okay, so let's get then onto the how for GRITability, right? So we've been now on the what, but I want us to talk a little bit about the how. That is why you are all actually here today, is to understand the GRITability system and to understand how it is going to support you going forward. So the first thing I want you to understand, the first thing you need to understand is that there's 5 specific characteristics when it comes to GRITability that we're going to be measuring. Now, I just want to pause there and I want to say, anybody that's part of this program, you are going to be measured. Your results are going to come back to the results center, and we are going to be following your progress, right? So that's very important, because in order to be a part of this program, the first thing is you need to be committed to do it every day. This is not a program that is going to work if you only do it every other day. This is something that's only going to work for you if you do it daily. But like I said, all that's required from you is 10 minutes per day. To change your life, is that a lot? I'm sure we'll all agree that that's absolutely worth it, right? So we are going to be focusing on and developing the 5 characteristics of grit. The 5 characteristics, the first one, the foundational one, and that's actually the one we're going to start off today, because if this one isn't right, then everything else falls apart. And that's why I'm going to share with you all, and that's why I invited you all to be a part of this call today, because I'm going to show you how to get the foundation right. And the foundation is all about passion, right? To be able to develop grit, you first have to have passion. So either you already have that passion and there's a way to test that and to look at it, or passion is something you're going to develop as you go along. Then on top of passion, the next level is courage. Once you have passion and you are now passionate about something you want to achieve, you're going to need courage to overcome a lot of adversity. Along with courage, you're going to need conscientiousness. Very important part of grit. Probably the part that was missing for me personally the most. And the part that has made the biggest change in my life has been learning how to become more conscientious in everything I'm doing. And then the other 2 characteristics we'll be looking at is perseverance, courage, leading into conscientiousness. How do I do this every day and make sure I'm doing it right, and I make sure I'm conscientious about my goals that I'm wishing to achieve? How do I persevere and bring up my perseverance? And it's when you persevere that you're going to find the most resistance, that you're going to find this little alien inside our heads that we call Mr. X, that's going to attempt to stop you from creating the changes you want. And if your Mr. X can't stop you, believe me, there's many people, friends and family that'll remind you why you can't do something, why you can't achieve something. In those instances, we're going to need resilience. But for tonight, let's start at the very first one, and let's start on passion. As I said to you, the idea for tonight, the orientation for tonight, is to get you to understand how to make sure that what you're focusing on is a passion goal. And this is really important. If you think about it, let's say I go to the gym and I want to play a sport, and I want to strengthen my muscles to be able to play that sport. Guess what's happened throughout all the other areas of my life when I develop the muscles for that sport is I have the same muscles available to me for any other area in my life. It's not like I develop muscle for a specific sport and I only have those muscles when I'm playing that sport. When I stop playing the sport, the muscles disappear. It doesn't work like that, right? You have the muscles. The sport might be the goal that got you to develop the muscles, but those muscles are available for you to use however you want. Well, in the same thing when it comes to grit. When you use grit, and the easiest way to develop grit consciously is to develop it through a passion goal of yours, something you're really passionate about, something you really want to achieve. And then when you learn to develop grit through that goal, you at the same time are developing the grit that can support you with all your other goals and all the other things you're working with. So we need to start with a passion goal. And here I want to bring in, I asked earlier on for a volunteer. And Megan, I think you said you would volunteer for us. Is that right?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay, and I think it was Zama. Zama, was it you that said you'll be our backup?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you, Zama. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this with you until you have to leave us, Megan. And I'm going to ask everybody to go through the same process in the same way as we take in Megan. And Megan, the first step when it comes to it is I want to ask you, what is your GRITability goal? In other words, the toughest, most important thing that you are currently attempting to achieve, and by when? If you're happy to share with us, Megan. So can you share with us what is your GRITability goal? If you could choose one goal, if there's 2 or 3, that's great. And we actually need to have more. We probably do have more than one goal in life. But right now, what is your toughest, most important thing that you want to achieve?
Okay, so on a broader scale, it's business. Just be like having a successful business, being a successful entrepreneur. I think I've mentioned before that I recently started this journey, and it's been challenging with COVID and everything else. I just started a new journey about 2.5 years now, network marketing, all part of helping people, making a difference in people's lives. And I have a target for this company. So maybe we can focus on that in terms of a goal, because I got a set date. The 14th of September 2022 is my birthday. And I have a set goal to reach a certain level within this organization.
Within the network marketing company.
Yes. So
okay, I like that, because we've got two different goals. You've
yeah,
got the network marketing and you've got your actual other business. Okay, so
yes,
they both, the goal is obviously you've got your different goals on how successful you want that to be.
yes.
Zama, let me just check in with you quickly. Zama, as our backup, what is the toughest, most important thing that you are currently attempting to achieve?
I have started a spices and herbs business,
Yeah.
and now I'm at a stage where I'm going to start producing the spices on a small scale. So that's my first goal that I have to achieve, to be able to have that small spices and herbs up and running as a production business. And then secondly is that, as I'm saying that, I'm currently homeless, meaning I don't have a house of my own. So my second goal is that sometimes in 2024, I want to see myself in my house.
Okay, those are great ones. Thank you, Zama. And I like that one, 2024. That's the year that you've got. Megan, we're clear on your goals. I want everybody else on this call. This is really important. And everybody else that is going to be using this system, this app. I'm just putting this available for everybody so that I can give you an example of how to set yourself up so that you get the most joy and the most use out of the system. So everybody else, ask yourself, you've got a lot of goals and things right now, but start in order. What is your toughest, most important thing that you're attempting to achieve, that you're saying, I'm going to achieve that no matter what? If you can say by when, it makes it even more powerful. Right, but for right now, make sure you've all got a goal in hand. Now we're going to go and we're going to use a method called the why try method. Okay, the why try. So to set it up a little bit first, is that if you're driving with your car and your wheels are not aligned properly, you can still drive for quite a long way with a car, but the further you go ahead, the further you go on, the more damage you're doing to the car. Well, the same thing when it comes to our goals is if there is a misalignment in our goals, we can carry on for quite a while, but we don't realize that the longer we carry on, the more damage we're doing to ourselves. So in order to measure this and to help, sometimes when you have a misalignment with your tires, you take it to a specialist, a tire place, that then goes and looks at the alignment and does all the adjustments so that your wheels are aligned again. Well, the same thing here. You need to do an alignment when it comes to your goals. And to help you with that, we use the why try method. So how this works is, firstly, and this is for everybody to do on your own, is the first thing is you're going to look at your different goals that you have, that you're working towards. You might have a goal in your health. You might have a goal when it comes to your business, as we've heard. You might have a financial goal. There's really different goals you can set for yourself. Anybody that's not clear on what goal to set for themselves and how to set it, please feel free to go to our website, changecreatorsa.com, and just go and look at the bottom. There is a free download of the book Liftoff that will take you through the process of understanding how to set these goals properly and what goals you should be setting to yourself. But what you want to do is you first want to set your goals in terms of importance and timeline. So Megan, out of just these two goals, which one for you right now is more important? And then taking timeline into consideration, because you say by this certain date. So out of the two, which are the most important for you?
For me, I'm really focusing on my network marketing business. That's more important for me right now.
Okay, thank you. And Zama, which one out of the two, your business and the spice business going and having and owning your own house, which is the most important goal for you?
The business one is the important one.
Okay, so that's the first one. So everybody, if you've got a bunch of goals, you go and rank your goals. Then the second thing you do is you go and look at why, okay? And you give yourself a score of 1 to 10. So Megan, how clear are you? And I want to say to everybody, when you're answering this, do not answer the way you would like it to sound, right? Don't go and give me, for example, a 10 when you know, honestly, it's probably only a 5. Because you're only doing yourself in. We can only create a change when we are in the true, authentic reality, the truth of that change. So if we're telling ourselves a story, things aren't going to change. Be honest. And Megan, how from 1 being, let's take your business, let's take the network marketing one first that you said is your most important. Scoring yourself on the why, from 1 being, I don't have a clear, real why I want to achieve this. I just know it's going to bring in money if I do it, so that's why I'm not doing it. To a 10 being, I'm 100% crystal clear on my why this goal is important to me. I'm clear on what it's going to bring for me. I'm clear on what it's going to do. I'm clear on that it's not just about money. I'm clear on that it's about so much more. In other words, your why is something really, really big that you can hold on to. So if you had to score yourself from 1 to 10 on your why, what would you score yourself, Megan?
Honestly, I'll give myself a 9. I'm super crystal clear. I
Excellent.
know why.
Okay.
Yeah, I can touch on it if you like.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I just want to know what your why is for now. Zama, what is your why? Score from 1 to 10. From 1 being, and guys, it'll be closer to a 1 if the only reason you're doing a certain goal is for an outcome of money that you want to come because you're desperate to have money. Your why for that business isn't strong. But if your why is because I want to use this to change lives, and I want to, like for example, my why on why I'm doing GRITability is 2 things. Number 1, I want to bring the self back into self-help. I want to teach people how to help themselves again. I think we've lost touch with that. And secondly, I want to create a world and help create a world where prevention is more common than cure, where we can prevent suicides, we can prevent alcohol related deaths. We can prevent more gender-based violence because we can pick up the patterns and we can really make a difference in the world. So my why is clear. It's not just about making money. My why is clear. Zama, where's your why from 1 to 10?
My why is 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Okay. For everybody else, go and rate yourself on your first goal. Your first goal will usually be a 10 out of 10. But you'll see as you start going to your second, your third, your fourth goal, you start asking yourself, why is this my goal again? Why have I set this as a goal again? Okay. So now let's go on to the second thing, try. Megan, from 1 to 10, try. Like how much effort is it going to take from you and how much effort are you currently putting in? From a 1 being, I know I must do this, but I'm really putting no effort in at all, to a 10 being, I'm putting my full effort into this. There's no more effort I can put into this. What would you rate yourself?
I'll give myself an 8 because I know in my heart of hearts I can do more, I can do better, I know I can do more. I know it. As much as I'm doing the best that I can. But yeah, Mr. X and I, we have our chats every now and then. So
Okay.
yeah, I'll give myself an 8 on this. 8.
Okay. Zama, same question to you. From a 1 to a 10, from a 1 being you doing absolutely nothing to get this business off and running, to 10 being I'm putting in everything I possibly can to make this business work, where would you put yourself?
I would say, I was going to say 10 out of 10, but because there are other things that I have not achieved, I would give myself 8 out of 10. But I'm actually consciously, according to myself, saying I'm doing my best, so I'm putting my all.
Okay, and everybody listening to this, you will find that when it comes to your top goals, it's usually similar to this. That's why it's your top goal. But again, as you go to your other goals, you're going to see that scores are going to start changing. But let's keep that. Zama, let's say that you had a 10 for why. Your why is 10 out of 10. You're crystal clear on why you need to do that. And your try is an 8 because you feel you could still do more. And for everybody else, go and do the same thing. And what you want to be focusing on, you want to be focusing on where is there a misalignment of more than 2. Right, so it's still up to 2 is okay, but then you need to start focusing. But let's say 2 or more. Let's say that Zama said she's a 7 out of 10 for effort. She's really putting a lot of effort, but she knows it's not 100% effort. Then that would be your first misalignment, right? Let's say Zama says, I'm putting, or let's say Megan says, you know what, when it comes to my network, I'm putting 10 out of 10 effort, but sometimes I don't know why I'm doing it. You know, if I have to look at my why, it's like a 7 out of 10. Can you see there's going to be a misalignment? And remember what I said, a misalignment are only going to get you so far. So if you're finding, so everybody be clear. So this is the process. Number one, rank all your different goals. In terms of importance, in terms of timeline, when it needs to, because sometimes when you're working towards an important goal and it needs to be done in a month compared to another goal that needs to be done in a year, then obviously that goal is going to rank above the other one because that's more important right now. Then you're going to do the same thing as we've just done. You're going to ask yourself from 1 to 10, honestly, if it's only you, I mean, if you're not telling yourself the truth, you're only lying to yourself. And you can only lie to yourself for so long, and then you're going to start realizing, you know what, whether that's consciously not telling myself the truth or unconsciously, something inside of you is going to feel not authentic, and it's going to be difficult for you to move past that. So be honest with yourself and say, from 1 to 10, am I clear on why this goal is important to me? And then from 1 to 10, am I clear on the effort I'm putting in? And then go and mark on any of your goals where there's 2 or more difference. And when you do, find those goals. Right, then ask yourself the following questions. Number one, how long have your why and your try been misaligned? So that's important to ask, like, how long has it been this way? How long have I find that these two are not aligned, that the why is bigger than the try or the try is bigger than the why? Second question then to ask yourself is, what is the downside of letting that continue? Right? Ask yourself this and write this down and be honest with yourself. Remember, we're starting to move towards self-help, helping yourself. What is the downside if my why is bigger than my try? What is the downside if I'm clear on what I want, but I'm putting in no effort? What is the downside if I'm putting in a lot of effort? And this happens a lot in a work scenario, where you get teams of people that put in lots of effort, but they're going, why are we doing this? We don't get any benefit out of this. There's nothing in it for us. We're being worked like slaves. The why isn't clear. There's misalignment between why and try. So go and ask yourself, what is the downside of letting that continue? And then finally, question number 3, specifically, and you've got to be very specific, ask yourself, what adjustments do I need to make to align my why and my try? So just quickly, there wasn't much of a misalignment with Megan's goals. Zama said was a little bit more. Zama, what adjustments do you think you need to make to bring your try up even closer to where your why is, which is 10 out of 10? What adjustments do you think you can still make?
I think in my case, in terms of my marketing strategies, I need to be more intense on my marketing strategies on Facebook and Instagram. So that's what I think I need to do, and do also more of outside marketing, which would not cost me much, because, you know, the challenge of most small businesses, we always see we've got a marketing challenge in terms of finances. But now, like in my case, I've seen that if I go out to people and tell them about my business, intensify Facebook and Instagram, I'm surely going to see a little more difference.
And that's brilliant. And well done to you for answering and being so authentic and sharing with us. Zama, you've hit the nail on the head. Everybody sitting here, I can tell you now already, you all already know what you need to do. There's this gap that we call the knowing doing gap, right? We know what we need to do. There's not a person sitting on this call, whatever your big goals are, that doesn't know what you can do to do even better. Okay, and that's what I'm talking about. So Zama, you're absolutely right. If you have to start doing that, And the only thing that would stop you from doing that is that little Mr. X, we call him alien voice in your head that's telling you, oh, I don't know about marketing and I don't have the money and I don't know how to get out there and do these things. If you overcome that, and that's what GRITability is going to teach you to do, because we're changing from the inside out. You start doing that, and you know as well as I'm sitting here that that's probably the last piece of the puzzle that's going to make everything fall into place for you. But you need to identify that misalignment, and I'm going to invite you all, do the same exercise as a first exercise, and first get the alignment right with your goals, the why and try. Then the next thing, remember I said to you all, you want to go and focus on a specific thing you love, like a sport, to develop your muscles. And once you've done that, you've developed your muscles for all the other areas. Well, the same thing here. You want to go and develop your grit in the thing you're the most passionate about. It's going to be the easiest way to develop, and that's the best way GRITability is going to work for you. If anybody's ever worked with a financial advisor, I'll give you guys quickly an example of what is good advice. Let's say you've got 10 different accounts, credit cards and clothing accounts and food accounts and car payments and things that you need to pay off. One of the tactics that really works, that can make a person financially free within a very short space of time, is to go and look at the payment that's the least amount. Let's say you've got a payment like your car payment is 2,500 Rand a month, 3,000 Rand a month. You're not going to focus on that. You're going to go and focus on the clothing account that's 50 Rand a month. And instead of just paying that 50 Rand a month, you're going to add an extra 50 to it. So you pay that account off quicker. Within 2-3 months, you've got the account paid off, as an example. Now, you take that money and you don't go and spend it. You go and look at which is second in line, which is the second least amount that I have to pay. And now you pay, let's say it's for a credit card and you're paying 150 Rand a month on it. Now you've got an extra 100 Rand. Now you pay 250 Rand a month. Before you know it, that's been paid off as well. Now you take that 250 plus that 150, which is 400 Rand, and you look at your next account and you say, okay, I'm paying that plus the extra 400. So if you all understand that principle, that's the same principle which we're going to be working with at GRITability. You are going to find the goal, the thing you're working towards that you're going to be using the system, the one that's the most passionate about, because it's the easiest one to apply GRITability to. Remember, passion being the foundational level, and you are going to focus the majority of your energy, a little bit more energy. Remember, I said you're not going to take all of your money from all of your accounts and just pay one account off. You're just going to take a little bit extra and focus on that. Well, you're going to take a little bit of your focus extra every day and focus on that passion goal. As you start reaching that goal, and it's really moving along well, because there's a space in the goal, real passion goals, when you're not even needed anymore. You've actually got to get out of the way, right? You're actually in the way. Then you can focus on the next goal and the next goal. But how do we go and identify that? So to do that, we're going to use the following system. And again, I'm going to invite everybody. I'm going to have this available as a recording by tomorrow. So anybody that misses anything tonight, just know we'll get to the recording to you so that you can go through it again. But in this instance, Megan, I'm going to engage with you again, and we'll start with you. I'm going to give you 10 areas in which I want you to measure your goal when it comes to the network marketing business, right? Zama, I'm going to ask you to do the same thing when it comes to your business goal with your spices, right? Each area, you're going to rate yourself from 1 being the lowest to 10 being the highest. And I'm going to ask everybody to do the same thing. And while I'm doing it, I'm going to ask you with each one to add it up as you're going along the score. So if in one, if you get a score, let's say 5 out of 10, then you add 5. The next one, you score yourself 8 out of 10, which means you've got a total of 13. Okay, so is everybody clear on that? Hopefully, this is the process. So Megan, we're going to start with you. Thinking of your goal, this goal of the network marketing, the first question I have for you, and the first area we're going to do, this is to testing the passion in terms of your future identity. Okay, so in other words, if you read it and everybody can read with us, is this goal, this network marketing goal of yours, is it relevant to your future identity, to how you see yourself and what you see yourself doing over the long term in the future? From 1 being, no, this is just a short thing and I don't see it in the long term, to 10 being, yes, I can see myself running with this for years to come. That's why I want to do this right. From 1 to 10, what would you rate yourself?
100%, I can see it years to come.
Okay, so it would be a 10.
10 out of 10, total.
10 out of 10. Okay. Zama, where would you put yours?
10.
A 10 out of 10. Okay, everybody else, do this. Choose a goal and do the same exercise. So you got a 10 out of 10. Okay, good. Next one. Megan, again, back to you. In terms of intrinsic value. So this goal, this network marketing goal of yours, right? Is it something that you are passionate about? Something you would enjoy doing? Something you would feel proud about and that you sense contributes meaningfully, not only to yourself, but to others as well? And would you do this regardless of money, status, recognition, or power? So regardless of any extrinsic rewards from 1 to 10.
10, because I'm helping more people more than anything else, making a difference. So if we eliminate the money, it's more about that sharing the magic and helping people. That's like the most rewarding.
Okay, excellent. Zama, what would you rate yourself? Yeah.
I would rate myself 10 because I started this business without money. The money I got and started this business was money from friends. I started this business in a very difficult situation. So it's something that I can really die for now because
Okay.
I'm on a different level currently with that business.
Okay, excellent, good. Let's go, and hopefully everybody else is doing this for yourselves. Let's go to the third area. This is in terms of utilitarian value. So again, Megan, is this goal, this network marketing, something that will lead to a successful outcome for you? So will you get something useful in life out of doing this, whether it's passive income, a new business, whatever, something external as well? From 1 to 10, what would you rate it?
100% 10.
Okay, we're still on the 10. Zama,
Yep.
from 1 to 10.
Same 10.
Okay,
Because
we're still going well. No, you don't have to give a because, that's fine. Just give to a 1 to 10. Okay, good. Let's go to the next area, opportunity cost. Okay, Megan, starting with you. In pursuing this goal of achieving this and creating this network marketing business, can you avoid losing out on other things that you find important? So in other words, do you find working on that is taken away from other things you find important? Can you do this without costing too much time, energy, effort, resources, and willpower that actually needed elsewhere, from 1 to 10?
yes.
Maybe you can help me here. So the network marketing is fairly new. I've been building my other empire for a little longer. Then COVID hit, my traditional businesses stood still. So I jumped into the network marketing, started studying and learning it. And it just like, I didn't even think I'd ever do this. The bug hit me. I enjoy it so much. It's so natural. So I almost do it more. I'm focusing on, like, I'm giving more of my energy to it. But if something comes up with regards to like traditional business, if I get a phone call, I need you on site, do inspection, whatever the case may be, I pause the network marketing and I do that because that's also building my empire. It's like my
Of course.
building. So
okay, so what I'll answer there and for everybody is that it's still fairly new. That's one thing you said, right?
Yeah.
And I guess the way you can answer that, looking at it, do you feel? Remember, we've got to be honest with ourselves here, guys.
Yes.
Otherwise, this doesn't work. Do you feel there's the possibility, as you get more into the network marketing things, that it is going to cost time that you need somewhere else, on a business or somewhere, or energy and effort and resources and willpower that you actually also need for other things, that it's going to start costing you there? From 1 being, yes, it's going to cost me 100% and I can't do anything else, to 10 being, no, it's not going to cost me anything.
I think it will take from me because, again, I'm not sure if I'm understanding it 100%. So let's say I reach my target by September, or by the end of this year, I'm on level 5 or 4. I will become fairly busy, and I'm busy with a huge project on my construction business. If that gets, I'm not saying if, when I sign that contract, it's going to be extremely busy as well. But I feel like the network marketing almost like it fits into everything. Like, if that makes sense.
Perfect. So you rate yourself 1 to 10 on this one. On how much opportunity do you think it's going to cost you to pursue this?
How much opportunity? I think it's going to cost me like, maybe you need to break that down again for me.
Okay, so in other words, again, And this is good. So I want to make sure everybody understands this question. If I pursue this goal, is it going to take time away from other goals that I should be working on? Is it going to take energy from me that's going to make me tired? So I'm not working on the other important goals because this one goal is just taking too much energy from me. Is it going to take so much effort and resources and willpower that it's actually taken away? So it's costing me in other opportunities. That's what we do. If it's a no, then it's a 10. If it's a yes, then it's
okay. I get it. So that's when I say it's as easy as breathing. It almost fits into everything. Yeah.
So you'll give yourself a 10 as well?
Yes.
Okay, good. And Zama, what would you give yourself here?
I'm investing my all in this business. Even if another opportunity can come, I will stand by this opportunity.
Excellent. Okay. And what we're doing now, thank you, Zama. And what we're doing now is, everybody that's listening to this and part of us, we're busy testing how passionate we really are about this. And we're busy ranking our passion, our goals in terms of passion. Okay. Next area is in terms of delay time. So Megan, is this goal going to have quick and recognizable results that you can enjoy soon?
What you put in is what you get out. So how quick you see results is purely depends on how much you sow.
Fair enough, and I think we could say that about everything.
Yeah.
But in this one, and I've been part of network marketing where I've seen interns in the past. Doesn't matter. You put in a lot of effort, but it still takes time to build.
Yes.
It still takes time to start getting you results, right?
Yes.
So what a 10 would be like, hey, I'm working on this thing and I'm expecting all the results, all the things to start happening within the next few days already, to a 1 being, no, this is going to take months, if not 6 months to a year to really start seeing results. It would be much lower. So what do you believe here, 1 to 10?
In 6 months, 6 to 8 months, I will see some really good results.
Okay, so can you understand that that's difficult to keep your passion going for that amount of time all the time? So in that instance, you'd score yourself lower than a 10 out of 10 because it's going to take a bit longer.
It's going to take time. It's not a snap of a finger.
All right, so what do you want to give yourself out of 10 for this one?
I think fair will be like a 6, 7 around there.
Okay, and Zama, how long do you think it's going to take you? What would you give yourself?
Because since I started this, it's been a journey that is moving. I'm giving myself 8 out of 10.
Okay, because keep writing it down, your score as well. Okay, good stuff. Please, everybody, let me know if you have any questions around this process, but this process is going to be the process that's going to really make this whole system work at its optimal for you. Let's go to the next one, Megan. In terms of personal control. So again, this network marketing goal, is it something that you will be able to make happen by your own efforts, or do you need other people to assist you?
I need people. It's a team thing. The more people I pull, the more I grow, the more they grow.
All right, so there's one of your challenges, and it's good to know this up front, Megan, because anybody who's been part of network marketing will say that can kill your passion. When other people aren't doing what they're supposed to, when other people are promising you things and aren't delivering. So be aware of that. Okay, the more you're dependent on the efforts of others, the more it hurts your passion. Okay, so a 1 would be, I'm 100% totally dependent on other people. To a 10, I'm 100% just dependent on myself. Where would you put yourself?
I'm not 100% dependent on other people. I can still run myself and build myself. I don't need to wait for someone to build. However, it makes life much easier for me when I got builders. I'm a builder. Maybe
okay. So give yourself an 8. All right, and then moving on to Zama. Same question. What would you give yourself?
9.
Okay, so it's mostly going to be your efforts, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. The next one is in terms, Megan, again, of social support. So this goal for your network marketing, is it something people will support you on? Will others provide direction and cheerleading when you're attempting this?
Others as in others within the organization, or others as in people, the public, the family, the friends?
Yeah, look, I must be honest with you. I think that within the organization, you'll always get the support.
Yes.
But I've also found when it comes to things like, for example, network, it can be that your family are going, oh, this is never going to work. They won't support you. That's what I'm saying. So do you feel feel, and then inside the organization is fine, but do you feel outside of it that you're being supported, or do you, and cheerleaded and saying, or do you feel you're not getting enough of that? Again, from 1 to 10.
My family and friends think I've gone nuts. So,
Okay.
yeah, some support, some don't. I think it's average, maybe a 5.
Okay. And Zama, what would you give yourself here?
9.
Okay, so you've got the support, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Only a few more areas to go. 3 more areas. The next one, Megan, in terms of bandwidth belief, this goal for the network marketing for you, is it something that you believe you've got enough time and focus to do a good job at?
Yes, 100%.
So a 10 for you. And Zama, do you feel you've got enough time and focus to make it happen for you?
Exactly.
Okay,
10.
good. 10. Second last question, in terms of resources available, Megan, will you have the resources that you need to successfully accomplish this goal?
10, 100% 10.
Okay, 10. Zama, do you feel you've got all the resources you need?
9.
9. Okay. And then the final area, Megan, in terms of autonomy. So will you be given the trust and the decision-making authority you need to feel as though you are in control and able to make things happen? And this can, by the way, just for everybody's attention, this can happen sometimes when you've got a partner. Let's say you're married and you want to start a new business, but your husband, your wife, your partner, they don't trust that it's going to work. And every decision you need to make, you need to check through them. Then this will be very low. You don't have the autonomy to make it happen, right? You don't feel like you're in control and you can make it happen. If you keep having to someone going looking over your shoulder saying, yeah, I know it's not good. I told you it wasn't going to work, and I told you it was a bad idea. You know, you have that person constantly. This will mainly have to do with your business partner or your life partner, or other partners that are close to you. How do you feel on this area, Megan? Do you feel you've got the trust and the decision-making authority to run with things?
I feel so super blessed. The universe has blessed me. My life partner supports me 110%. I truly am blessed there.
Awesome.
Sometimes I do crazy stuff and I still get a 10.
Good.
So yeah, that's a straight up 10.
Okay, so I'm just looking here. Okay, let's quickly go, Zama. Last question to you as well. What would you give yourself out of a 10?
10.
Okay, also 10 out of 10. All right, great.
Sorry,
So,
Stanley, I have to
yes.
go. I'm actually 6 minutes late. I hope the room
Thank you,
is not
Megan,
long.
and thanks
Oh
for
my
going
gosh,
through
I
that
don't
with
wanna leave,
us.
but I have to.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll watch the
Okay.
recording.
All
Thank
right,
you so
thank you,
much,
Megan.
guys. Thanks, Stanley. Cheers.
Okay, so thank you. So Zama, your score was more or less close to where Megan's was. Megan's score was 89%. For everybody else, as you've done this, you should, because this is your number one goal. Remember, we said you're gonna focus on your number one goal. For everybody that's done that, you should get quite a high score. Okay, so there's not a problem when it's that high, but the challenge starts becoming when it's 75% or lower. If you find any of your goals that are lower than 75%, you really need to start asking yourself, firstly, is this the right one goal for me? You know, because if your passion is 75% and lower, the why isn't very high. So you might have to ask yourself, why is this the right goal for me? Okay, but even if it is lower than 75%, you can still constantly ask yourself, what can I do in this area in advance of starting this new activity so that my score can be higher? So ask yourself in advance of this new activity, and in this instance, the new activity is going to be applying the GRITability system to it. Look at your goals, and the first thing you ask yourself is, if it's a goal I really want, what can I do? And the best way to do is go through the 10 areas. Look where your area is the weakest and ask yourself, in that specific area, what can I do to get more support? What can I do to get more control? What can I do to make more time available? What can I do that's taking less resources from other projects? There's ways you can think about it, but ask yourself, what can you do to increase your score? But the most important part of this exercise, everybody, is number one, you've got to get in alignment with your goals. And number two, you've got to go and find, let's say you've got 5 or 6 different big goals in your life, and you go and do the same exercise with those 5 or 6, you will be able to rank those goals from the one that you've got the most passion for to the one that you've got the least passion for. And saying you've got the least passion doesn't mean you don't have passion. It just means you don't have as much passion as you have for the other goals. And then what did we say? Once you've done that, and that is why this orientation session was so important, because once you've done that, then you are optimally primed to be able to start using the GRITability system. So what I want to do now is I'm going to stop sharing just for a moment, and I am going to go and open just a quick demonstration for you all on the GRITability system so that you know what to expect. It works on, let me just have a look here and just open it quickly. It works on your computer. You can use it on your computer, and it works on your phone as well. You'll use the same link, whether it's on the phone or computer. And by the way, I'm going to yeah, and I forgot to put that as part of the slide. I'm going to put it quickly in the chat so that everybody's got the link. Everybody that's here has got the link. And then what I will do in terms of this video, okay, what I'm going to do is, outside of this video, is that I'll also put the link for people who watch it. But now, coming back to it, let me just see. I think I'm going to share my screen again. And if you can all just confirm, if someone can just confirm that you can see the screen.
Yes.
Okay, great. So guys, what you're going to do is you're going to come in, you're going to register for your account. By the way, just be aware, this is still the test version. The live version, we are looking at getting ready within the next couple of weeks. The live version is going to be awesome. It's going to have reporting. It's going to have all kinds of things that are going to really take this up a notch. But for now, the test version is what we ask you guys to all be a part of. So what you're going to do is you're going to, let me just put in my quickly just details. You're going to register. I've already registered with this account. It's just an account that I'll use to show you. You're going to log in. You're going to come onto your first page. Welcome page, where it's just going to tell you to answer the questions as authentically as possible every day. And you're going to see within a few days, you're going to know these questions already, and you're going to be asking yourself these questions through the day, every day. You're going to go into the start, and you're going to come up.
I can't see your screen.
You can't see my screen.
Yes, it's Pendu.
Pendu can't see my screen. Let me just quickly check with everybody. Sorry, everybody. We're just quickly checking on this again. Is there anybody else that is having a problem with seeing the screen when I display it?
I didn't have any problem.
I can't see it now, but I did before.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'm going to continue. Pendu, if you can't see the screen, and if anybody else can't see the screen for whatever reason, then what I would recommend you do is that you just watch the thing again that I'll make available tomorrow. Download it, watch it again, and then you should be able to. Like I said, the idea behind this was always to support you guys in understanding the principle, but the application is going to come later. So as long as tonight you all understand the principle, I think that you will be in a good position. Okay, so for as far as I understand, Pendu, you unfortunately the only one that can't see it. Okay, but everybody else, I'm showing it again. Can I just confirm that you can see the screen again?
Yes.
Okay, so let me log in again, gmail.com. All right, so let me do the login, and then as I said, you're going to get your first screen, your welcome screen, and then you're going to start, and you're going to get your first area you're going to be is courage. So an example will be, I took action towards my goals today. And what goals are we talking about here? We're talking about the goals we've just discussed. You're looking at your top goals, and you're going to decide whether you've got 6 goals. You're going to say, for the next 3 months, while I'm doing the system, am I going to focus on all 6 goals, or am I going to focus only on 1 or 2 or 3 specifically? And if I'm going to focus on a few, I'm going to choose my top passion goals. Then every evening you're going to come and you're going to ask yourself, for example, I took action towards my goals today, despite all my fear and negative thinking, because we know we wake up every day with fear. We know we wake up with negative thinking. So did you do it? And then you can answer yourself from not at all, mostly no, not applicable, mostly yes, and yes completely. Now, I just want to pause there and let everybody know the not applicable option Why do we? Because I was asked, why did I add a not applicable option? And the reason for that is because there are certain days when you're taking the day off. Like, for example, when it's weekends, like this long weekend, for most of the questions, I said not applicable when I answered the questions, because I consciously decided I'm not focusing on my goals today. Today, I'm taking the day off. So in that instance, it will be not applicable, right? There will be days, like even on the weekend, where one of the questions is, I laughed at myself today. In opportunities when or in situations when I would usually be so hard on myself. Today I found a way to laugh at myself. That's like, for example, a question I can ask even when I'm on holiday, even when I'm on a weekend. So there's certain questions you'll always be able to answer, but certain questions when you've consciously, and the only reason you use not applicable is, number one, if you've consciously decided, or number two, if it really wasn't applicable for the day. Now, let's say, for example, one of the questions is, I practiced patience today, but let's say you never had a reason to practice patience. Everything ran smoothly. Then you can say not applicable. All right. You'll also see a question mark next to each one. You can go and click it. What that will do is it will bring up a screen that will help you understand the question better. So how to answer the question better. What I am going to be adding, and I'm committing to have it ready by next week, is you will also see on top of here a little video icon, and I will also have a video explanation of the question. And you can use those just until you fully understand how to answer the question most authentically. But let's say, for example, by the way, if you don't choose an option, it won't allow you to go to the next question. So don't be surprised if that happens. Okay, I'm going to quickly stop it here because I don't have the next button working at this stage. I'm just going to go to the areas I want you guys to see. Is that when you come to the final question, guys, you're going to get to the following choices page where you can choose in the day what it is that you want to be doing and checking. So I'm going to quickly open up that page and share the screen with you again so that you can see what that looks like. Let me just open up here. There we go. Okay, so you're going to get to this page. So now you've answered all 36 of your questions. It should take you about 5, 6, 7 minutes to do it. What you can do then is you have got different options. The first thing you can do is you can go and view your daily scores. So if you go and click on your daily scores, it will show you what were your scores for each day. Now, this is just test dummy data that I've put in, so don't worry too much about percentages. Nobody's ever going to get 2.5%. But you're going to be able to see how was I on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday through the week. Okay, so that's the first thing. You can always go and look at your daily scores. The second thing you can do on a daily basis is to go and view the characteristics. Okay, so when we're saying view the characteristics, you can go and look. Once again, there's no proper data in here. It's just to show you how it works. But you'll be able to see what is your percentage for courage, conscientiousness, perseverance, resilience, and passion. And you'll be able to pick up where you were, where you struggled the most. You'll also get a total grit score for that day. So you can constantly measure your grit score for that day. Then what's going to happen as well, and I'll show you one last thing. I wasn't really planning on, but I think it's important for you to see, is that you're also going to, at the end of each week, you are going to get a weekly score. So you're going to be able to say what was your best day for the week, what was your worst, what was the area you did the best in, what was the area you didn't do the best in. So let me just share it with you here quickly so you can see what that looks like. At the end of each week, don't worry about this. This will happen when you've completed a week. It'll happen automatically. It'll bring you to your weekly scores where you can see what was my best area for the week, what was my worst area for the week, and what was my week's total grit. It's this score that we're going to be measuring as we go from week to week and as we're doing the research. Is your total overall grit starting to improve from week to week? If it's not, why is that? Certain weeks you might find that your courage is very low. We'll want to know why, what led to that. We might find that your resilience is very low. Your passion is any area. If we find it's getting too low and consistently too low, then we'll be in touch with you and we'll be asking why is it happening, and we'll be trying to decipher, because that's part of the big data we're trying to get together, is to understand certain people, certain demographics, certain age groups, Why do they find it that passion, for example, is low at a certain time of a year? Is it that way for everybody? Is it the way for that specific person? Same thing as people like, let's say, for example, someone who's a drug addict. Can we pick up when their passion falls? When their passion falls, for example, for what they're going for, does that lead to them drinking? If it does, how do we know where the threshold is so that we can warn people when we see it? So you see, all of this data is really helping us make a big difference. Right, once you exit, it'll just tell you that every week it'll be reset for the new week. But this is really where the magic is, and I want to show you all, is that at the end of each week, you are going to be given 3 specific tasks that you need to work on in the next week. And that's going to depend on how you did the previous week. So as an example, yeah, it's going to say, as you'll read here with me, the 3 focal areas that I need to be focusing on in the next week is focus area number 1 says for the next week, you need to become more focused on your choices. So every time you find yourself having to make a choice, first take a moment to stop and ask yourself, am I making this choice because it is the right choice for me and aligns with my goals, my values and morals? You see, so that becomes your task for the week. So every day you need to be reminding yourself, my main thing I need to be focusing on is the choices I'm making. Am I really making the right choices for me? What I'm also going to be adding, you'll see in the near future, a little video clip icon here as well. And that'll give you more of an explanation for each one of the tasks on how you can do it optimally. Then we go next, for example, focus area 1, we go to focus area 2. It says the first step towards change is awareness for the next week. Keep a notepad or a voice recorder close by and make a note of all of the challenges and the difficulties you faced. Were you easily able to overcome them? And if not, why is it? And what is needed in the future to make it less challenging? So in other words, you are sort of checking on yourself, asking every day and becoming conscious every day of what are my challenges, how did I overcome it or not overcome it, and what different choices can I make in future? So I just wanted to show you all this so that you're aware of what the system looks like, what you need to do. There's also an upgraded version that's going to be coming in the next few weeks, which is going to include a journal entry part, which is probably going to be one of the most important things. So that when you score low in an area for a day, you can journal and you can say, why did I score low? What happened to me today that I made the wrong choices? How can I ensure that in future I make better choices? And that's why I said, as you constantly start focusing on these things on your goal, and you start constantly work on these things, you're going to see something inside of you is going to start changing. You're going to become more conscientious. Courage is going to start developing. You're going to find yourself more persevering when you're supposed to, when you usually would give up. And it's all because of what's happening at a much deeper level. All right, so let me go back to my presentation. What I also want to say to everybody, and I think it's really important to bear in mind is that this system is set up in a way that you have to use it every day. If you miss out on one day, you've got to reset the week. By the way, there was a button under the choices called Reset Week. If you found that you've missed a day, there's no point carrying on with a week because we need 7 full days of data. And this has to be done. Obviously, the only time you can do this is in the evenings. Once you are doing reflection of your day, this is your tool before you go to bed, before you do everything, is to use this to reflect on the day and to ask yourself these questions on the 5 different areas on how you handled the day. If you miss a day, we have to reset, and it makes it challenging. And I want to just let everybody know, our expectation and the reason we're giving you this system is so that you're supporting us to build the data that we need. But our expectation, it cannot work if you do not put the effort in. So decide tonight, if you're committed, it means for the next 2 to 3 months, you are committed fully. You don't miss a day. If you miss a day, you cannot catch up on it the next day. The system will not allow you to put tomorrow's scores in for yesterday. You can only do it every single day. If though you do miss a day and you know you're going to miss a day that you're not going to have Wi-Fi connection or something else goes wrong, you are also very welcome to contact us and we will assist you for that day. But we have the system set up in such a way because we want to support you that if you consistently missing days, we are going to find out from you why that is, how we can support you. But if it's just from a lack of commitment and you're just not committed, then we are going to be taking you off the program. So in order to be part of this program, and then if you want to be part of the program going forward, then you can pay for it because sometimes commitment comes through payment. right? Like in this instance, what we're asking you to pay is through your commitment and through your time, and sitting every evening and having an honest feedback session, because honesty is what we need. That is the only way we're going to make the system better for you and better for everyone else, right? So those are the few things I just wanted to T's and C's. Why the system works. So let's bring this to a close for tonight. Why the system works is because without you realizing it, you are changing from the inside out, right? And you're doing it yourself, and you're just going to feel more and more empowered. There's a very big reason why that works, but I don't have the time to share it with you tonight. All I can share with you is that 15 years of research into ontology, into science and psychology has taught me some truths that I can, and the one truth I can share with you is that the system is going to develop a level of power that you didn't know existed. It's going to unleash it. Something that was already there. That's kind of what we're looking at doing. It also works because we're changing, as I said in the beginning, the person, not just the behavior. And what you're going to find, the last reason why it is going to work so well for you, is that you're going to have constant real-time daily monitoring and support. So if we find on our side that you are wavering, we will be there to support you. So finally, the last question that we can ask in terms of where we're going is when. When are we going to start? When should you start with this? Well, the answer is right now. As that right now, tonight, afterwards, if you've got the link, I put the link in the chat already, download it and started working with it. Actually, can I ask you guys, don't use the link that I gave you. I just realized now that is the test version that I use myself, and it's going to frustrate you if you've used that version. I'm going to put the right version in a moment. But getting back to what I'm saying, the best time to plant a tree was 5 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is right now. There's no more time to waste. There's no more time to lose. The world needs people who are passionate, people who have powerful goals that are aimed towards making life better for themselves, making life better for others, and enriching the environment. These are the kind of goals we need to be setting. These kind of goals are the ones that inspire us, that make us passionate, but they're also the kind of goals that are going to change the world. And tonight, I really believe that all of you that are here with us is going to be a part of that first step into a new way of working, of understanding ourselves, and bringing the self back into self-help. Okay, so that is it for me, guys. I'm going to take your questions now, but I am going to stop the recording.